am Noriko Bullful, and this is Uncut News. Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! Our telecommunications sector is finally free at last. With one stroke of a pen, Prime Minister Mark Phillips has ended GT&T's cross and 31-year monopoly on this nation's phone and internet services. And by ending the monopoly, I just mean that the Prime Minister has decided to actually enforce the legislation that both the PPP and APNU passed in 2016. Because, for some strange reason, only sections of the law was enforced. Now, this opens the door for more companies to come in and offer lower data and internet services costs. Even though revenue is plummeting in other markets, Digicel said they are ready to expand services locally. JPL said the only fairy lights you're getting this Christmas is on your tree, cause Giftland is giving us the hookup. The company's new deputy CEO, Samaru Ramtahal, said JPL has several projects to increase the nation's power generation capabilities. The first of which is a power purchase agreement with Giftland Mall that will add an additional 5 megawatts of power to the system. Personnel are currently on the ground working on the connections, and JPL expects to see the project completed by month's end. There are also plans to install more generator sets by next year to raise the grid's capacity by 76.5 megawatts. Just recently, Hess Corporation announced plans to invest approximately US $1.8 billion into the Payout development project. But, just like a junkie in need of cash to support his crack habit, Hess Corporation is selling off its assets in the Gulf of Mexico in order to afford its part of Payara. The sale of its deepwater assets is expected to net them US $505 million by the end of the year, which means they're still $1.3 billion short. So, good luck, Hess. Maybe you could pick fares to make the rest of the funds. Best Buy Auto Sales is Guyana's #1 auto dealer. Their prices are competitive and they sell their vehicles with warranty, so you can have some peace of mind. Visit their showrooms at 171 Peter Road Street, Queenstown, or Lot 2 Lumaha Street, Georgetown, and find out about their special Christmas deals. Last night, a policeman took a bullet to his BT while disarming a gunman in Guyhawk Park, Georgetown. According to reports, Constable Ramsingh and his partner were on motorcycle patrol when they heard a gunshot and saw two men arguing. One of them was brandishing a handgun. Right as Constable Ramsingh dismounted his bike, a scuffle ensued in which the man licked off 5 shots. One of them hit Ramsingh in his BT. But according to the police, he went all RoboCop and ignored the gunshot wound in his ass and managed to disarm and arrest the man with his partner's help. Constable Ramsingh was taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital, while the other male, with whom the suspect was arguing, cut off and ran immediately. An investigation has been launched. I also hope that guy gets an award for being able to take a bullet like that. That takes some serious balls. In another tragic but all too common occurrence, another Guyanese woman has been murdered by her partner. This morning, the husband of 28-year-old Clarabelle Johnson of Cooper Street, Old Boys Town, chopped her several times about her body after they were engaged in a heated argument. Neighbors took Johnson to the hospital, but she died while receiving medical treatment. The husband has since gone on the run, but for some odd reason, police have not even released his name or photo, so I can't even give it to you so you can help them out. Nonetheless, an investigation is ongoing. More than 2 years after a city constabulary, Lance Corporal was charged for fatally shooting a mentally ill prisoner, he was recently committed to stand trial in the High Court. 52-year-old Gregory Bascom was not required to plead to the indictable charge, which led that on January 14, 2018, at Regent Road, Border, Georgetown, he unlawfully killed Marlon Fredericks. Since this weekend, Dr. Jennifer Westford has been playing damage control for the government ahead of today's deadline set by the GPSU. Dr. Westford reportedly met with nurses at the West Demerara Hospital and Georgetown between this weekend and Monday at the request of the president. Prior to those meetings, Dr. Westford held talks last week with top officials of the union. The union said it is likely to make known its latest position today. But like with many of these things, they just like tell people in the 99th hour. And I ain't able to wait for them. So we'll bring you an update tomorrow. Now is a good time to remind you that robbery season is back. If I were you, I would consider getting security for the home of business. Sheriff Security Service is a good choice. I find that they are the most professional, with well-trained, armed or unarmed guards. Get some security this Christmas, people! Now it's time for your daily Rona update. Today, the Ministry of Health said that it was not yet done validating each Rona test that was taken. As such, the nation has not recorded any new cases of the Rona yet for the day. Now keep in mind, this is officially, because according to them, international standards and practices regarding the disease says the government must validate all tests, including ones taken at private hospitals, before they can officially update the number. But what I can tell you is that the total number of deaths now stands at 95, which means 5 more people just died of the Rona since the last official count. There are now 15 persons in the intensive care unit, which is an additional one from yesterday, and 975 persons in home isolation. As of yesterday, the total number of known cases in the country was 3,188. Also today, the US Centers of Disease Control and Prevention just confirmed that an infected person can leave virus particles in the air for minutes and sometimes even hours indoors, which means when you go to the ATM, if someone who is infected sneezes and then you come in hours later, you could still be exposed to the virus because it's in the air. So please, people, take this virus very, very seriously. Take it more seriously than the big shock or TB or any of those. Wash your hands frequently. Avoid touching your nose and mouth, and mask up before you leave the house. When you leave the house, try to avoid enclosed spaces and large crowds, like big crowds at the ATM, for example. And remember to give 6 feet of space between you and others, because if you come within my personal space, I promise I'll give you one good jumbly lash across the face. Now, let's take a look at news in the region. Police in Trinidad are currently investigating a robbery by fake police officers running a fake roadblock along the Western Main Road in Corporal. The victim told police around 6:15 p.m. on Saturday he was transporting an undisclosed amount of cash for his employers when he was stopped by 2 men dressed in what appeared to be police operational wear. The fake cop said that it was a routine stop in search of the vehicle, and they bound the driver in plastic tie straps while searching his vehicle. However, the men then ran off with his phone, his 1,500 TT dollars, and his employer's money. One man actually fled by running along the roadway, while the other entered a Toyota Hilux, which was marked police, and then drove away. The victim raised an alarm and managed to untie himself. Well, wow, you've got to give it to these Trinis. They're always finding new and interesting ways to take money out of your pocket. The government of Grenada has elected a finance minister, unlike us. Thus, they are now shifting the responsibilities of managing the nation's money from the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Mitchell, to the new minister, Gregory Bowen, unlike us. This shift is a shift in policy that is a reflection of the government's effort to shift its priorities in the face of the ongoing pandemic, unlike us. Don't fall for these get-rich-quick schemes, people. There is a legit way you can earn some extra cash to supplement your existing hustle. Sell Top-Up. You can become a Top-Up vendor quick and easy by linking Cellular Plus. Call them on telephone number 685-3109 for more info. And now for our weird news story of the day. 2 former Oklahoma jail employees and their supervisor face misdemeanor cruelty charges for what is probably the cruelest and most unusual form of punishment ever. According to investigators in the case, the trio forced at least 4 inmates to stand handcuffed for hours and listen to the children's song Baby Shark on repeat at full blast the whole time. You already know the song I'm talking about. Baby shark do 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 do. Well, yes, that for hours. And to make matters worse, they actually did it to people multiple times. Former employees Gregory Cornell Butler and Christian Charles Miles are accused of imposing the punishment, but their supervisor Christopher Raymond Hendershot is accused of knowing about it but not stopping it. But according to the district attorney in the case, he wishes he could have slapped the 3 musketeers with felony charges, as the misdemeanor is too light a punishment for the crime. Roll your eyes if you want to, childless people, but if you're a parent who had to endure that baby shark favor that came through a few years ago, I think you'd agree with him. A misdemeanor is far too light. Moving on to our Uncut News Views Poll question of the day. Every day we pose a question about current events in Guyana. the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it relates to us. So, you give your responses in the comments, and we'll read the best ones in the following episode. Yesterday's question was, do you think the government will reason with the nurses, or no? Timothy Deodot said, it will not go in favor of the nurses because of the political striking. There is a lot of people suffering in Guyana with no money, and nurses have jobs and treating patients like dogs. Well, that's one viewpoint. Please subscribe said, the government will have to give in to their demands. Reason being, without the health workers, it will be an issue in the country. We are already faced with a pandemic, and to not have health workers to help us in this dreaded fight is chaotic. Not like the government can get persons to replace the nurses since that is their profession. And finally, Veloraptor said, the government will eventually have discussions and find common grounds with these healthcare workers. These nurses deserve the right to increase in salary and proper PPE. The more nurses that strike mean people who need help will not receive it, which increases the mortality rate further. If you fire everyone from the kitchen, who's cooking your food? Likewise, who's going to save your ass? Yeah, very, very good point. Good answers, people. So tonight I leave you with this question. There are a lot of development projects planned in the coming months by both the government and the private sector. I want to know, which one are you most excited about? It could be anything. I mean, the bridge, the airport, that new plan for an amusement park in Mahika, anywhere. I think you understand. So just think about that question and tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in Wednesday's episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight. Check us out tomorrow for another. Hey Uncut News viewers, thanks for watching. You can subscribe by clicking on this button over here, or click over there for more news. You can also drop a comment to let me know if you've made it to the end of the video. Goodbye for now.